Hello, my sexy and beautiful people of the internet. My name is Diego, also known as the Chilean ROULETTE Gamer, and welcome officially to tournament number 3 of the Roulette of Sadness Naked Gaming Edition with 4 more rounds. Well, actually we will have 6, but of course today we're just going to be spinning the wheel 4 times to get the games for the 4 regular rounds. Of course, featuring 2 classic shows that I used to do back in the day and 2 newer shows, 2 newer features. So let's get started with Arcades at Home. This is a classic one actually, and as a matter of fact, I think I've used this channel more than one time to feature some of these Arcades at Home games, which are basically like console or handheld ports from arcade games. So we're getting Aero Blasters for the Sega Genesis, Double Dragon Advance for the Game Boy Advance, Tiger Road for the TurboGrafx 16, and Ghosts and Goblins for the Game Boy Color. Why the Game Boy Color? Because it's much better than the shitty NES ports. So I'm choosing that one. It's actually similar graphically, but it plays and sounds a lot better on the Game Boy Color than on the NES. So let's find out what the first game of this tournament 3 is going to be. Remember guys, most likely tomorrow we are going to be spinning the wheel 2 more times for the 2 losers revenge games. That will basically be games 5 and 6 out of this tournament. Okay, we're playing Double Dragon Advance for the Game Boy Advance. Never played this version, so I guess it will be an interesting experience to say the least. Remember, like half of these things that I put on the different shows are actually blind runs, so of course there's going to be a lot of failure, but at the same time we are going to discover things that could be also interesting for all of us to see. So we got round 2, which is a newer feature, Chilean Sega Gamer, which combines first-party Sega games and non-first party, third-party games that came out on actual Sega consoles. That's the idea, or the rules for this show. Not only Sega games or games made by Sega themselves, but also games that came out on Sega consoles. So we got Alien Syndrome for the arcade, of course, a first-party Sega game. Marvel Super Heroes vs. Street Fighter, which is actually an arcade game, but we're going to be taking a look, if it gets selected of course, to the Sega Saturn version. We got Pinball of the Dead for the Game Boy Advance and Pirates of Darkwater, another third party for the Sega Genesis. I believe this Pirates of Darkwater is actually kind of different from the Super Nintendo beat 'em up, which has the same name, but actually took a look at the Genesis. It's more like a platformer from what I saw, and actually looks very interesting, so that's why I put it here on Sega Gamer. I mean, it comes like a Sega game because it is on a Sega console. Again, 2 first party, 2 third party. That's the spirit. So for round number 2 here on the Roulette Naked Gaming, we are going to be playing, looks like it's going to be Marvel Super Heroes versus Street Fighter for the Sega Saturn. Hopefully it's going to work on the emulator. If something happens, of course you will be informed, and I will be playing something else that actually works. But ideally something for the Sega Saturn or maybe the Dreamcast, something like more recent than just the Sega Genesis or the Sega CD, for example. So let's go to round number 3, which is going to be Portable Classics, which is actually a show that I did on the live stream on Justin TV back in the day. Don't tell me my internet died, it's not loading the wheel. There it is. Yeah, I was actually afraid that would be the first time I actually don't get the wheel loaded, because internet dies actually a couple of times a day out of nothingness. It's at random times. So we got Street Fighter 2 on the Game Boy, we got Pac-Man on the Neo Geo Pocket Color, the Castlevania Adventure. I never find out if it is Castlevania The Adventure or the Castlevania Adventure for the Game Boy also, and Super Space Invaders, which I believe it's a port of Super Space Invaders 91. But this time around we are going to be playing, well, eventually, probably not today or not in this spin, the Game Gear version. So let's find out. It feels like it didn't spin for too long, but anyway. Remember, guys, after Tournament 4, we are going to be doing the Losers Revenge feature, clearing out the wheel with the 40 losers. Actually, it's going to be called 40 losers. Okay, we're going to be playing Super Space Invaders for the Game Gear. Never played this one, so it should be an interesting experience as well. So, last round, newer feature. It's actually a newer channel that I've been using, that I rebranded from back in the day. Chilean Nintendo Gamer. So this time around we're getting 4 first-party Nintendo games, even though I can follow pretty much the same rules for Chilean Sega Gamer. But this time around, actually, I decided to put 4 first-party games. Pokemon Pinball for the Game Boy Color, Soccer on the NES, the original Mario Brothers for the NES, and Mario Party Advance for the Game Boy Advance. It wouldn't be the first Mario Party game I'm actually doing on camera, but it will be the first one that I do for YouTube if that gets selected. Again, remember, everything will be eventually played either on the regular rounds, on the Losers Revenge for each of the tournaments, or for the feature of the 40 losers, in which I'm going to be playing every single game from that wheel until it clears out. So, Pokemon Pinball on Game Boy Color, that's round number 4. So stay tuned, guys, probably tomorrow, in a couple more days, I don't know, most likely tomorrow, because we are assuming we are going to be uploading this on a Saturday. So, tomorrow, you will see me spin the wheel 2 more times out of the Losers Revenge wheel. Of course, adding all of these 12 games that didn't make it today. We're going to put it on the Losers Revenge wheel and spin the wheel 2 more times to find out games 5 and 6 of Tournament 3. So stay tuned.